All right, welcome to lab number 11 of AZ-204. Monitor services that are deployed to Azure, and specifically we're going to take a look at application insights in here. Okay, so again, the GitHub or the instructions for this lab that are available in GitHub have a nice architecture picture that you can take a look at if you're lost. Otherwise, we're going to use my ready-made lab instance over here, and we're going to start off by going directly into application insights. There we go. So what we need to do here is basically create an application insight app. We're going to use a pre-created resource group for this. We're going to call our instance instrumentation with some random stuff. And we're going to be deploying this into East US 2. Over there. For the rest of the stuff, we're going to keep everything in the default values. Note that this will create a new log analytics workspace. So if you already have one, you might want to use that instead. And create. And now it's done. So let's go and take a look at it. There we are. Under the configure section, we can take a look at the properties, and there we will find something called the instrumentation key, right? So that's what we need to ensure that our stuff gets instrumented. So let's just create a new text file to copy paste that ID into. Okay, so next up, let's create a web app, right? So going to app services, create a web app. We've done this before multiple times in the previous labs. And use our resource group. I'm going to call this app SMP API. I'll publish some code. It's going to be .NET 8. We'd run that on Windows. I want to run it in East US 2 as well. There we go. We don't have a plan, so we need to create a new one. We want to name it monitored plan. And then for the pricing, we're happy with the P1V3 SKU. If we go onwards to the monitoring and secure tab here, here we want to enable application insights, as you can see. And then the instance that we want to have is the one that we just created over here. So instrum. All right, that should be it. So let's review and create. And that has been created. All right. So let's go to our resource. Go to settings, and let's go to environment variables, and then under app settings, you can see that we have application insights connection string over here, and this has been automatically applied when we selected that application insights previously when we created this web app. So now it has been deployed. Let's take down the, or let's just open the default domain there, so we have it once we actually need it. Next up, we want to set up some auto scaling. So as you remember, this is over here under settings, scale out. And then if we go down to the scale out method, we're going to change into a rules-based method. And then we configure that. And what we want to use is custom autoscale. I'm going to call this compute scaler. It's in our resource group. And we want to scale based on a metric. And now we need to add those rules, right? So first of all, let's have the minimum at 1, maximum at like 8, and the default at 3. And then we start to add our rules. So, we have to wait for a moment for the app service to actually be up. So let's wait for that. All right, here we go. So let's just keep all of the defaults in place. So CPU percentage. And then we're interested if it is greater than 70, then increase the count by 5, by 1, and then have a cooldown of 5. Yeah, just the defaults. And we don't even need a scale down rule for this demo. So let's just kind of keep this in place and save it. All right. That seems to be okay now. So let's create an application. So again, copy pasting this just in case. Opening the downloaded GitHub environment. This is Lab11. And then we're going to create an API there. And again, as always, this is an empty directory. Okay, so let's create a new terminal. And let's create a new project of type web API. I'm going to put its output here, and we're going to call it difficult, simple API. I'm going to use a .NET 8.0. Cool, that's done. Then let's remember to add the package for application insights. That's Microsoft.application insights. And the version for this lab that we're going to use is 2.21. That's done. Then we want to have some specifics from within application insights. So one thing that we want to have is a performance counter collector. And then the other thing that we want to have is a profiler. And then from the profilers, we want to have specifically ASP.NET Core, right? Core. And here we have a different version. We want to use 2.4 for whatever reason. Right, so all of that has been installed with dependencies. So let's just quickly do a .NET build so we see that everything seems to be working correctly. Cool, that's done. So let's take a look at the code. So this is our basic, let's get rid of this one, this one, this one. This is our basic template for Web API. So a couple of things that we want to change here is that, first of all, we don't want to use HTTPS redirection for our lab. In general, it's a good idea, but not necessary for our lab. Then we need some additional things to look at. So we need to add application insights telemetry and then add a service profiler to this. And basically, otherwise, we can just work with the template, right? So this would be whatever API you would have. But for our purposes, this particular simplified API is just good. Then further on, under app settings, we want to set the application insights instrumentation key into place. So let's do that basically maybe over here. So I'm going to say application insights. And then within there, we're going to have curly braces are not part of my keyboard, right? We're going to have an instrumentation key. It's going to have the value of the key that we previously had, which I now lost, of course. Let's go back and get it. This one. And then we want to close and have a comma. There we go. All right, so that's done. Close that and close this. We have saved everything. So let's try to publish this. Yeah. .NET publish. C. Let's call it release. It's going to be on the Windows instance. Self-contained. And then I'm going to set up property publish ready to run equals true. And then we want to use the simple, the project exactly that we have over here, right? All right, so that's done. So let's run this locally. That's one word, run. So this should be running on localhost 5290. So let's go there. And then under 5290, we needed to use the URL weather forecast. It works, right? It's giving us some JSON data. And this is totally random data. We've been using this before. Okay, so we know that it works. So let's go back to application insights. Yeah. So we're over here. This is our application insights instance. Now, if we go to the overview, we should be able to see, some data has already been populated, which is pretty good. We're going to have more and more and more of this data as we would be, refreshing that page. But cool, that's done. So next up, let's put this onto the cloud. Right now it's just running locally and it's sending information into the cloud. Instead of that, maybe let's stop this where we stopped it, and let's go into the publish directory. And then let's create a zip file. So that kind of works. We're here, we've got everything, and we got our zip file as well. So let's connect the Azure account into this terminal. And there we are. So first, let's see our web app that is running to also show us that we actually have access. Right. So we get all of the information about the web app here. We can also do this based on the name. You have a lot of web apps. You get just the one. And then we can save the name of the web app into a variable, right? This is what we're doing here. So we're getting all web apps that start with SMP API. And then we take the name. And then we save that into a variable called web app name, right? Right. So now that we have that, so now what we can do is publish our web app. By using the PowerShell command, let's do that. So it's publish AZ web app resource group with the name that we just got. And then this is the path to the zip file. Okay, so that worked. So let's see what that looks like. We have it over here, right? So it's supposed to be deployed now instead of the standard web app, right? So if we refresh this, I think we're supposed to get a 404. Yeah. Because we need to remember to append the weather forecast to it. And now we can see that we get the same kind of JSON data from our app running in the cloud that we did locally. So let's do a couple of refreshes so we get some activity here. Okay, so let's go back to our web app here. Okay, so let's take a look at our app insights here. Down here, application insights. So it's already enabled as we did set up. Then under instrument your application, we're going to use the .NET tab. And then for the collection level, we want to use recommended. Profiler section, let's put it on. We don't need a snapshot debugger nor SQL commands because we don't actually use them. So let's first press on apply. Okay, changes are applied. Go back over here and then do some more refreshes. Okay, cool. So now if you go back over here. We can click on View Application Insights Data, kind of shortcut for us. And I'm going to shorten that to 30 minutes. So you can see that we have, different kinds of metrics available to us. Another thing that we could do right here is on the left-hand side, go under Investigate, and then go to Live Metrics. Right? So these are really now the live metrics that we're seeing, and of course currently there's nothing happening in there. But if we go back here and then press refresh a couple of more times, then we can see those refreshes actually, being reflected here in the live data. All right, that's it. That's how to instrument your application using Azure and specifically Application Insights. Thanks for listening and see you in the next lab. Till then.